Hello guys, Antoine here for Simarchitecture and welcome back to a new video. Today we're building a neoclassical music pavilion, and before telling you about the build itself, I would like to tell you about my inspiration. And my inspiration is an actual music pavilion located in the city of Louvciennes near Versailles. And this absolutely wonderful building was built for Madame du Barry, who was one of the mistresses of Louis XV. She had an apartment in Versailles, in the Palace of Versailles itself. She had a few residences, also in Versailles and around, and she had a small chateau here in Louvciennes. And in the park of this chateau, there was this music pavilion, which is a real masterpiece of neoclassical architecture. So a music pavilion is actually a small place dedicated to music. It is not meant to be a residence, it's just a place where you play music or organize parties with some friends or people, and it was actually the purpose of this build. The build still exists, and it's in private hands, so I never had the opportunity to visit it, but it's definitely one of my dreams because, as I told you, it's really considered as a masterpiece of architecture, and the interior really looks stunning, even though I only saw pictures. And if you're wealthy enough, you can get this pavilion because it's currently up for sale, and I think you will need around 45 million euros to buy it. So I think it's been on the market for 5 years maybe, and there's still no one willing to buy this building. And I can understand it because it's absolutely expensive. Well, there's not only the building, there's also a lot of terrain around it. It's a really huge property, but still, who has 45 millions? Well, so this is my inspiration, and I only could look at pictures. I can't go there myself because the estate, even the garden, is not open to the public. So it's really based on pictures, but of course, as always, I had to adapt it to The Sims, so it's a bit different, but the shape is kind of the same, and layout of the rooms as well, especially for the ground floor. So this small pavilion in The Sims 4 is located in Brindleton Bay on my favorite lot, which is the 64 by 64. Unlike the real pavilion, this one is overlooking the ocean, which gives an even more dramatic feeling to the build. As I told you, a music pavilion is not meant to be a residence, but for the game I turned this music pavilion into a small chateau actually. So there are a few bedrooms, bathrooms, even a kitchen, so you can totally live in this small pavilion. So on the ground floor we have the main rooms, which have the same shape as the actual music pavilion. There is the main room when you enter the building, which is a very large and high room because it has a double levels. So you can see in this room that there are some balconies which were for the musicians that were playing violin mostly in this room for the guests. There's also a harpsichord, and just after this big room there is a smaller drawing room, which is just a regular living room, drawing room. On one side there's another drawing room which is a little larger, where you can play music, have nice conversation, and on the other side there is the dining room, which looks a little not dull, but a bit really straight. There's not much decoration or ornaments. a very neoclassical layout or decoration with straight lines and reminders of the classical architecture. There's also some technical rooms. So there's what we call in French a buffet room, which means that this is the room where the servants were just bringing the food before serving it to the guest in the dining room. So next to this room there is a staircase going down in the basement, and here is the kitchen. If you go upstairs, the floor plan is getting quite intricate because it's a very small building, so I had to find ways for the servant area. I actually didn't want the owner of the house to see the servants in her own space, so I created a small corridor going all around the build that leads to the servant area. So there are a few bedrooms and bathroom for the servants. There is a library, and yes, that's it. But there's another level, so there's another staircase which is quite not secret but not really easy to find. If you go upstairs, you go to the private apartment of the owner. So there's the main bedroom with a big bathroom, and by the way, there are 2 bathtubs in the bathroom, and this is something really common in old chateaus and palaces, and I would tell you why. Because it looks kind of surprising. It was not especially for 2 people to bath together and have conversation. It was mostly for the person who was bathing to have one bathtub to actually wash and another bathtub to rinse themselves. So that's why in many palaces there are actually 2 bathtubs. This is something you can see in Versailles in the small apartments of Madame de Berry, by the way, yes. So this bathroom, there is a sort of closet, walk-in closet, well, the old version of a walk-in closet. And there is another bedroom which is a bit more luxurious than the servant bedrooms, and it is next to the main bedroom, and this bedroom is dedicated to the lady-in-waiting of the owner of the build. So yes, and now I just told you everything about all the rooms in this palace. So as I told you, it's very small but really cute, I would say. You know, in this time, in the 18th century, it was really well, a trend to have such pavilion and small buildings on the grounds of a larger palace. Just like in Versailles, if you've ever been to Versailles, there is the main palace, there's a smaller palace called the Grand Trianon, and next to it there's an even smaller palace called the Petit Trianon, and in the garden of the Petit Trianon there is the French Pavilion, which was just meant for the afternoon, for having tea, and there are several pavilions all around the estate, just to relax and chill and to have a beautiful point of view when you're passing by. So this one is of course a bit larger than those garden pavilions, but still it's quite a small building. And yes, what I can tell you also is about the garden. The garden is well, it's quite large because the building itself is small. So on one side there is a I don't really know how to call it in English. In French it's called treillage. This is kind of wooden structure where all the plants can grow up. And inside of this I put a statue and a few benches. On the other side there's just grass and an elegant statue. And on both sides of the main alley leading to the pavilion there are big trees, and there on each side fountains with statues and grass. So the garden is quite simple and not overcluttered, or there's no flowers and trees everywhere. It's quite clean and minimalistic as the neoclassical style, which is back in the time was quite a minimalistic style. So yes. So I really hope you enjoy this video. I hope you learned something about the actual music pavilion, or about the strain of having pavilion in the park of a palace and so on. I always try to make my videos a little educational, so I hope you learned something. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.